Hi, everybody, and welcome to Dive Deep. I'm Shelby Cornett, and I'm the ministry assistant at Cambridge City Christian Church, and this is Danny.
Hey, Shelby, what's up?
Hi. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Good.
Having a good week. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yep.
Regular old week.
Regular old week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot going
Not
on.
a whole lot happening. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good sometimes.
Yeah.
We started a new series.
We did. Yeah. It's kind of weird, right, today to talk
I
about
know.
something other than Mark.
We had Mark forever.
Yeah. Yeah. We started a walk through Daniel, and we took
Yeah.
a look at the first chapter
Yep.
of Daniel's story. And what'd you think?
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I did have to study again later because my Bible and then like what was projected weren't the same.
I was using the
So
New Living. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to kind of go over it again, but
Yeah.
I liked this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a sad and encouraging chapter at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when you think of it on a personal level for Daniel and what he had to go through, being taken from his homeland,
He's kind of
and
imprisoned.
his family was probably, many of them were killed because that was usually what you would do. It was kind of like cutting off the head of a snake. You would, a conquering nation would come in and kill most of the leadership outside of maybe like Daniel, people that they thought could be beneficial to them.
Yeah. So like good looking and good shape.
Right.
Like,
well spoken, educated, things like that. So, so it's like, he got to see all these people that he cared for killed, and then he's carted away. And then I mentioned Sunday, I didn't go into details for obvious reasons, but usually when you were put in the courts of the king, you were castrated.
Yeah. That's weird.
That wasn't a weird. Well, the reason behind that was to prevent you from having relations with the opposite sex. So, because your duty was to the government, you weren't supposed to be sexual in nature. So yeah, it was.
Poor
so
guy.
then, I know. You think you hear of all this stuff. I'm like, wow, he went through a lot.
Yeah.
But then when you read the story, I think it's in verse 9. It talks about how he was loved and shown affection by the people that conquered him. Like he didn't go in there with a sour tone and decide to hate the world. He thought, okay, this is the situation I'm in, and I could choose to be optimistic about it, or I could choose to be angry, and he chose optimism, and he made a difference.
I don't know that I could have done that.
I know. His story, he's always been my namesake is after him, but I don't know that I could ever be like him. I mean, I don't think I could handle it like that. He's an inspiration. He really does show us how we should approach circumstances that are tough in life. So
yeah. I don't know, besides the lion's den, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about Daniel.
Yeah, we're not going to get a lot into his prophecy, but the back end of the book, chapters, I believe it's 7 through 12 or 13. I can't remember exactly how many chapters there are, but that deals more with the prophecy of his. Although there is some prophecy in the first 6 chapters, but it's more in a narrative form.
Right.
So, it's telling a story, but then it includes the prophecy in there. Whereas the back end is really more of just the straight prophetic words of Daniel. Yeah, Daniel, and then we're going to talk, 1 week we'll talk about his associates that's mentioned there in chapter 1, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That story with the fiery furnace, that was one of the early stories I remember reading as a kid. There's a lot of basic Bible stories you learn very early on.
Yeah, Mary Ferris she gave me a book to read to the kids, and it was Daniel in the Lion's Den.
Yeah.
But it showed there were little gold coins with a lion's head in certain parts of the book, and that was when Daniel acted like Jesus.
Oh, okay. That's
and
neat.
so during this, I was thinking, oh, he was acting like Jesus. Place a coin.
Yeah, I could see that. He was a type. We've talked about that before. A type is kind of an example of something to come.
Yeah.
He's that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a neat book. Neat.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
One of my notes I took, the first one, you kind of answered it after I wrote it, but I put, why do names have to change?
Yeah.
Because I think that is one of the most confusing things about studying the Bible is this person is the same as this person, but the name's completely different. And I'm trying to figure out who's who.
Yeah.
But then you explained they were kind of brainwashing them in a way.
Yeah, I mean, that was their goal. They were trying to teach them to learn all of the, I don't know, the civic, government, science, math, all those things that they wanted these men in their image.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have somebody in their in the Babylonian image when they're still got Hebrew names.
Right.
So that's why they renamed them. It really was an attack on their identity. It was saying, okay, we don't care that you're Hebrew. This is who you are now.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I was trying to get a point across.
Yeah.
To 'em. Yeah, full-on
Yeah.
indoctrination, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
scary how that can
Yeah.
happen.
yeah, it is.
Other than that, the only notes I had was just basically like praising Daniel
Mhm.
for taking a bad situation and
Mhm. Yeah.
making it what he
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
and finding a way to serve God and respecting the leaders.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
he really had to work.
He
and-
did. It is hard work. It is
Yeah.
hard work. Well, over the rest of the series, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of unpack what we
Mhm.
read in chapter 1. We'll reference the stories of Daniel and some of the things
Mhm.
that happen. But really, chapter 1 is what we're going to look at. I know next week we're going to talk about, or this Sunday, we're going to talk about preparation.
Mhm.
And so we'll kind of go back to chapter 1 and look a little deeper at how Daniel prepared, and
Mhm.
then maybe some additional things. We talked a little bit about preparation this Sunday.
Yeah.
We talked about humility and wisdom and,
Mhm.
and patience, things like that. We're actually going to touch on those virtues as well over
Mhm.
the next few weeks. But yeah, I mean, it takes work. You got to prepare yourself. You got to have the
Mhm.
right mindset. We looked at that passage. I believe it was from Hebrews where Paul talks about having the mind of Christ.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah,
I was trying to think about that in like current time,
yeah,
like trying to follow God and respecting like politicians.
yeah, it's hard.
That is hard.
It's hard, and especially a politician that you believe is not just a bad or ignorant or whatever politician, but one who is like evil.
Right.
Like one that whether they are or not, but you think that they are purposely trying to do something
Mhm.
evil. That's where it gets really hard, and that's where Nebuchadnezzar was. He was an evil man.
Yeah.
He killed countless.
How do you
tens
hold
of-
on? How do you say that?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kept wanting to call him Ebenezer.
Ebenezer. No, not Ebenezer. That's the Christmas story.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I know.
yeah, the carol or whatever. Yeah.
A,
Is
a
it
Christmas
Is it the
a
carol?
Christmas Carol?
Christmas carol. Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. That's Ebenezer.
Yeah. I
Yeah. Ebenezer.
when I look at it, I think
Scrooge.
Ebenezer. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
There you go.
Okay.
Nezard, but yeah, close enough.
Okay.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
I'm able to say it so easily because I've said it thousands of times in my life. But
Okay.
yeah. Why couldn't
Got
it have
it.
been I think his son was Darius. That would have been a lot easier, right?
That's so hard. Even the guys with Daniel, the Hananiah, Mishael,
Mishael, yeah.
Azariah.
Azariah, yeah.
Like, why can't you just be like John and Bob?
Well,
and-
remember, it's all in Hebrew. So they would say to you, why can't you just learn Hebrew?
That's yeah.
so there you go, Shelby. Got to
I
start
guess-
learning Hebrew.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
I'll just make names for them.
You just make them up. Well, that's kind of what they did. If you remember, there was years ago, VeggieTales came out
Oh,
with a
yeah.
video. My kids watched it a lot about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and it was called Shack, Rack, and Benny, if I remember right. That's what they called them.
See,
There
that's
you go. Yeah.
I need to veggie
And
tails it.
and Nebuchadnezzar was called Nebuchadnezzar or Nebuchad. Mr. Nezer,
Mr.
that's it.
Nezer.
Yeah, so maybe you need to watch the
I can
VeggieTales
get
version.
Ebenezer, just not Nebuchadnezzar.
You'll get it.
Goodness, I'll figure it out one day. Okay, that's all I had.
Yeah, and I already
For my
shared with you
notes,
with what's
I think.
coming up. So
Oh.
it's
What does besieged mean?
besiege. That means to encircle, kind of like if you're invading an area, rather than just going in and attacking it,
Mm-hmm.
you surround it
Okay.
and besiege it. Oftentimes they would do that to starve people out. if you live in a
Mhm.
walled city, it's hard to attack the walls. So what
Mhm.
do you do? You put troops all the way around it, and you just wait them out
Oh,
until they run out of food and water.
goodness.
Yeah, and that was up until probably even in World War II, there were besiege moments like in
Mhm.
Russia and stuff. So it still happens,
Yeah.
but it's changed a little bit because we don't have cities we don't like put walls around cities anymore.
Right.
But it's there. It still
Wouldn't it
happens.
be nice sometimes if we put walls around cities?
I don't know. That's a whole other discussion.
Maybe.
But yeah,
Maybe not though. I don't know.
there are problems with it, such as being besieged.
That's
If
true.
you get surrounded, you're gonna starve and thirst to
Yeah,
death.
that's
So,
true.
Yeah.
Pros and cons, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yep.
All right, that's all I had for
Yep,
this week.
that's it.
So what's next week?
Yeah, like I mentioned, we're going
Continuing
to
the
talk
first
about
chapter?
preparation. We're going to talk a little bit more about how do we prepare ourselves for a society that's not godly. How do
Mhm.
we better prepare ourselves? So we'll look a little deeper at that. And this week, this series now, Daniel 1 is where our main focus is for the whole series. We'll be reading through a lot of other scriptures this coming week.
Mhm.
That'll kind of support how we can prepare. So that's kind
Okay.
of what we'll do is we'll look at that this week.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week as we continue the Thriving in Babylon series.